In today's video, President Trump makes a major announcement about Elon Musk. Also, mainstream media loses it over Trump demanding interest rates to be cut. And Democrats are now calling Trump's $5,000 baby incentive racist.
I can't speak more highly about any individual. He's an incredible guy. He's a brilliant guy. He's a wonderful person. I've seen him with his family. I've seen him with a lot of his children. He's got a lot of children. He treats them good. He loves his children. But he's a brilliant guy, and he was a tremendous help, both in the campaign and in what he's done with DOGE. And, you know, we're talking about almost $200 billion and rising fast, because many of the things that we were looking at are now being found out to be fact. It's terrible. I mean, the fraud, the waste, the abuse, the everything that's happened is just terrible. So I also know that he was treated very unfairly by I guess you'd call it the public, by some of the public, not by all of it. But he makes an incredible car, everything he does is good. But they took it out on Tesla. And I just thought it was so unfair because he's trying to help the country. But he has helped the country. I also want him to make sure that he's going to be in great shape. And I know he is. I mean, he's going to do great.
Now, in case you guys are not really understanding what's going on here, obviously, Elon Musk last night announced that he would be taking a step back from DOGE and focusing more on Tesla. Now, this comes as 71% of the profit has declined, which, as you heard President Trump say, was due to artificial reasons, meaning that wasn't a natural event that happened because people are unhinged, meaning half the country. And the reason why is just simply because he aligned himself with President Trump. That will do it for anyone, okay? Half the country is going to hate you. They don't care whether or not what you're doing is the right thing. Now, here's a little bit about the entire situation and what Elon Musk said yesterday.
Ultimately, one company that has reported their earnings, first quarter earnings yesterday, was Tesla. And Tesla, the stock is now up, but yesterday their net income was announced. It's down 71%. And Elon Musk even said, he admitted that Tesla faced a lot of blowback from his ties to Donald Trump. And now he's talking, and we're going to play a little snippet of it. He says, you know what, maybe I better go back to the car company because they need me.
Starting probably in next month, May, my time allocation to DOGE will drop significantly. So I think I'll continue to spend, a day or two per week on government matters for as long as the president would like me to do so, and as long as it is useful. But starting next month, I'll be allocating far more of my time to Tesla. And now that the major work with establishing the Department of Government Efficiency is done.
All right, so just a few facts, because I don't know how the media is going to spin this. Number one, I find it interesting that whole Democrat narrative that Elon Musk would be fired by President Trump because they have a falling out didn't happen, right? So we could throw that in the trash. Number two, Elon Musk has a public traded company, and it's been negatively impacted by Elon derangement syndrome, which is a real thing. Half the country hates him, and there's nothing he could do to change it. And number three, he's a special government employee. Sooner or later, he had to move on. So it's good that he's taking a step back and focusing on Tesla. Now, here's an example of how some Democrats are spinning this story.
This is another climb down.
So politically, if he's out of the picture, is that better for Democrats? Is it better for the arguments in favor of monitoring the waste or abuse?
I actually think it's better for the American people. Whether it's better for Democrats or better for Republicans, I can't tell you. I just think actually having someone who knows nothing about the government, who is a wrecking ball, and then is basically firing and rehiring people and creating a lot of chaos.
Or you can't find one elected Democrat in this city who's trying to help Donald Trump cut waste, fraud, and abuse because they want to keep it.
That's not true. There was a bipartisan committee.
One.
That's not true. There's a bunch of members on a bipartisan committee.
I would also I would caution on, even if Elon steps away officially from his special government employee status.
I love the air quotes. You don't believe it at all. Go ahead.
Well, the White House has said that they expect DOGE work to continue too. So even if he's
Yeah.
not there officially, I mean, top White House officials have said that they're going to continue to talk to him, seek advice from him.
Yeah, like she knows what's best for the American people because we know Democrats have nothing to offer. All they have is complaints and lawfare. That's it. They have zero solutions. And it's so fascinating how they still don't understand that most people in the center, all they're asking for is a legitimate solution, not more complaints, not more divisiveness, but they can't help themselves. And in regards to Tesla, you guys have to understand, it's not a car company. It's an AI robotics company, okay? And if you are a true investor in Tesla, you know this already. You're not really concerned by the profits that dipped by 71% because you understand what's happening in 2026 and 2027. I mean, this company is going to skyrocket. And I'm a firm believer in that, even when the left loves to celebrate the decline of Tesla.
Headline, CNN, Tesla profits plunge. Headline, Washington Post, Tesla earnings plunge. Headline, New York Times, Tesla's 71% drop in profit. Headline, USA Today, Tesla profits fall 71%. Headline, Wall Street Journal, Tesla profit sinks. Headline, Reuters, Tesla sales skid.
All right, now before we go any further, I got to show you exactly what both sides of the political spectrum is saying about this entire story. Why should you care? Well, listen, I'm going to get things wrong. You know, the mainstream media hardly gets anything right. That's why you got to do your own research. And the best way to do that is to use this tool called Ground News. If you guys want to check this out for yourself, go to ground.news/Devori. Now, let me show you an example. Here's ABC News saying this: Tesla profits dropped 71% amid anti-Musk backlash. They don't mention how unhinged Democrats have become as a result of their derangement against Elon Musk because his alignment with President Trump. Nothing of that regard. And here's an article that leans right. Tesla's Q1 profit falls sharply as it fights backlash tied to Musk's role in the Trump administration. That is more accurate of what's been happening here. Now, as you can see, both sides are talking about this story in an entirely different way, but sometimes there will be stories where only one side is actually talking about it. And that's why Ground News has this feature called Blind Spot. And the bottom line here, folks, is if you don't do your own research, if you don't see what both sides are saying, how do you know what's true or false? This is why we use Ground News. So if you want to use this tool for yourself, all you have to do is go to ground.news/Devori, or you could download the mobile app. Just use promo code Devori, and it's going to give you access to everything that I showed you in this video, including 40% off the Vantage plan.
The first quarter of last year, Tesla made $1.4 billion. The first quarter of this year, we learned today, you can drop the billion off of that. They went from $1.4 billion in the first quarter of last year to $0.4 billion this quarter.
Yeah, so I don't think anybody should ever question, Elon Musk's sacrifice, okay? I think we should not tolerate that. I think he's done more than enough for our society, and I don't care about some unhinged liberal lefty talking about how he's dangerous and crazy. No, you're the one that's dangerous and crazy, especially when you are vandalizing Tesla vehicles. But that's just the way my mind works. Let's go to our next story here. And this is in regards to President Trump changing his tune about Jerome Powell, which is the Fed chair. Originally, he put up a post on Truth Social demanding he be fired and terminated immediately because he's too slow to cut rates. Well, when he was asked about that yesterday, he said this.
It's all coming down. The only thing that hasn't come down, but it hasn't gone up much, are interest rates, and we think the Fed should lower the rate. We think that it's a perfect time to lower the rate, and would like to see our chairman be early or on time as opposed to late. Late's not good.
Mr. President,
I don't want to talk about that because I have no intention of firing him.
Mr. President,
there are reports that you're considering doing something for moms across the country, giving them some type of bonus whenever they have a child. Are you considering that? Or
Sounds like a good idea to me. Yeah, please.
So to clarify, you have no intention of firing Jerome Powell because your economic advisor Kevin Hassett a few days ago said that you and people in the White House were studying this idea of possibly doing it before his term ends.
No.
Do you have any plans on doing it?
None whatsoever. Never did. The press runs away with things. No, I have no intention of firing him. I would like to see him be a little more active in terms of his idea to lower interest rates. This is a perfect time to lower interest rates. If he doesn't, is it the end? No, it's not. But it would be good timing. It could have taken place earlier. But no, I have no intention to fire him.
Okay, so let's actually address the elephant in the room. What made him change his tune? I honestly believe that the more he kept talking about firing Jerome Powell, the stock market was about to get even crazier. I mean, and it's already been crazy. We know that. So I think obviously he took some advice, kind of toned it down. He still is hammering him as far as, hey, why are you not cutting rates? Which leads me to point number 2. Why should he cut rates exactly? That is Jerome Powell. Well, if everything has declined as far as inflation, as far as prices across the board, except for eggs and except for mortgage rates, wouldn't it be a great time to cut rates? Oh, and by the way, which leads me to point number 3, he did cut rates right before the election, which is why President Trump is furious. So meaning you cut rates for a political reason to help Biden and Kamala Harris, but you won't cut rates now that I'm the president. Yeah, I'd probably be upset too.
For every one Republican economist who works at the Federal Reserve, there are 10 Democrat economists. For every $1 donated from Fed employees in the 2020 election, 97 cents went to Democratic candidates or causes. The rate cut that had no justification in fundamentals of the economy before the election was designed to throw Kamala Harris a lifeline. And now when there's a real justification with lower inflation in the midst of a trade negotiation, a real justification for lower rates, Jay Powell wants to do absolutely nothing except stand in the way. And so it's right that President Trump is calling this out. He has many options in front of him. But I just wish that Jerome Powell would do the right thing. Look at the facts. Right. Look at what his colleagues in Europe and Canada and England are doing and lower rates to support our economy in this critical transition period.
Now, of course, the way Democrats see this is that President Trump is trying to control Jerome Powell. Even though we know there are clips of Elizabeth Warren demanding the same thing. There's Joe Biden demanding the same thing from Powell. They wanted him to cut rates, and they did get their wish right before the election. But now that Trump is wanting that, they think he's up there trying to be a king and control them. And no other president has done that until Michael had to give CNN a history lesson.
Sometimes I think we forget history. Let's go back to LBJ. LBJ actually flew the Fed chief down to Texas to his ranch and berated him because he was pissed off about some of his decisions.
And then what?
Let's remember.
And then what? No. And then what happened?
I want to make my point.
Finish your point.
Then
what
George
happened?
H.W. Bush.
But
Chair
Michael, I'm going to pause you there.
He lost the election in the
what
state economy.
Happened?
So my point is, it's not, oh my God. The point that I'm trying to make.
Chair Michael, tell me what happened.
History matters here, and sometimes
it does.
Michael, they want him to be a figure here. They don't want him to be the
president. When we talk about Trump, can I finish my freaking statement before we just interject? I haven't concluded my thought process.
Here.
So the point is, there have been previous presidents that have had similar thought processes to the Fed as Trump. That's the simple
on your
position I'm trying to make here.
Your half-finished history lesson.
Well,
what did the Fed do after LBJ brought him down to his ranch?
To LBJ or George W. Bush.
So what is your point?
The point is, previous presidents have been of the mindset similar to Trump that I don't like the decision of the Fed chair. I would like the chair to change their particular opinion.
So as you can see there, CNN is more obsessed with everything that comes out of Trump's mouth and not necessarily on the facts. And we've already went over them. We can litigate them all day long, but they have a narrative to push, and that's unfortunate. And there is history that shows that prior presidents definitely criticized the Fed chair because they do operate independently. But you know how the media likes to work. They stretch, President Trump's statements and turn it into something that it's really not. He does not have the power to really do much about Jerome Powell. And all he can really continue to do is publicly demand him to cut rates. I mean, that's where we're at.
Even the way in which he's speaking about Jerome Powell is itself injecting a fair amount of uncertainty into the global economy. Just think about it. Global markets are stabilized based on the idea that the Fed is independent. Even when President Trump says, look, I have no intention of firing Jerome Powell, but I think he sucks and he's terrible and he's been doing a horrible job and he's too slow. Even that is the sort of uncertainty that Chuck was talking about. It's just he's playing to the news cycle And ultimately, no one is comforted by the fact, I think, that he has said that he's not, in fact, firing.
But he's, in fact, doing what Joe Biden did with Jerome Powell in March of last year when he tried to coax a rate cut out of him. It's just the difference between Bobby Knight throwing a chair across the court and Jim Boeheim saying, golly gee, Mr. Ref.
By the way, they're both bad ideas.
No, they're all bad
Messing with the Fed is a bad idea.
But everybody.
And ultimately, the domino that needs to fall for President Trump and everything that's going on is an official trade deal with at least one of the major countries. That could be India, that could be Japan, that could be Europe. I mean, if just one of them actually signs an official trade deal, you're going to see one deal after the next just start happening, and momentum will spark and growth will start to occur again when it comes to the stock market. All right, so here's a head-shaking story. President Trump is now offering $5,000 as a baby incentive, meaning families, if they give birth to a new baby, they could be eligible to receive $5,000 from the federal government. Now, wait till you hear the reaction from the media in regards to this. They're way off base. But let's first start with the facts and why there's some meat to this.
First, let's just start with the premise here, which does come from a reality of a drop in the birth rate.
Absolutely.
Which how dramatic is that?
I mean, it's pretty gosh darn dramatic. I mean, compare the peak after World War II back in 1957 where the average woman is having over 3 babies, right? And then it dropped down already 1990 to just 2.1. And now we're at 1.6 as recently as 2023. That is below the rate folks want. You want it to be at least 2 in order to replenish the population. And that is a dramatic drop of over 2 kids from just 1957 to 2023.
Now, Elon Musk has been ahead of this. He's been talking about this for almost a decade now. Nobody ever listens, obviously. But it's a very important point. When the birth rate is that low, what does that mean? In the future, we're not going to have a population that is growing. We're going to have a population that is decreasing. Now, obviously, if you just allow everybody to cross the border, what difference will it make at that point, right? Maybe that's how the left sees it, but that's not what they brought up. I'm going to show you what they brought up. They think it has nothing to do with that. In fact, it has everything to do with their favorite R word, which is race.
Do we like this or do we not like this?
Well, I don't like it.
You don't like it? And Rena, do you like it or not?
It's kind of racism in disguise.
Well, hold on.
If you wanted
hold on, Art. Art, I'm going to come to you about it. But Rena, where are you on it? Yes or no?
I'm a yes. I like it. On its face, I know it sounds offensive, but I think the intent is good.
Okay, so Art, why don't you think the intent is good? There's no white in there. There's no Christian in there. That doesn't even say you got to be a citizen. I'm sure it would be added in a Trump administration. But why don't you like it?
I don't like it because if you really were interested in babies, there are plenty of immigrants here whose kids are being deported. If you were interested in babies, there are plenty of people who would come here and become citizens and bring their babies. Way behind in the background, as you've said already, Chris, is the idea that we want more white Christian babies. That's what Elon Musk and many of his followers are all about. That's what Stephen Miller, the policy advisor, is all about. So what we have here is a little bit of eugenics. We want the right kind of babies. That's what we want to reinforce.
Yeah, so it's only on the left where you could put out a statement of good faith that says that we want to reward people for getting married and having kids. And they take it and they say, oh, that means you guys only want more white babies. That's only from the left you're going to get that type of thinking, okay? It's just utterly ridiculous, okay? I don't understand why we can't just agree that we should have more babies for the sake of the future so our population can continue to grow. I don't care how that happens. Now, here is Speaker Johnson responding to this stupid take from Sunny Hostin from earlier this morning.
They're saying that the U.S. birth rate is declining. However, in 2024, there was a 1% increase in U.S. births. But that increase was with Hispanic mothers and Asian mothers. So they don't seem to be concerned about that increase. They seem to be more concerned about a decrease in other populations.
Joining me now is House Speaker Mike Johnson. Mr. Speaker, have you been discovered? Has Sunny Hostin discovered that the real motivation here, should you pass a baby bump tax incentive, is not to combat what looks like a very scary future of not just the U.S., but actually many countries across Western civilization, to reverse declining birthing rates, but actually what you're out there doing is trying to bring in new white babies?
Absolutely absurd. The View is an absurd program. Yours, on the other hand, Will, is fantastic. You're doing a great show, and I'm so honored to be with you. Look, we are the Republican Party. We're the pro-family party. We always have been. We take great pride in that. We're working every day to rebuild a culture of life in America. We want to advance policies that help families and make it easier to raise a child in America. We support all children. We love all life. That's what we've always been about. It's actually in our platform. And the Democratic Party stands for the opposite. You know, those views illustrate that.
I don't understand how they got race out of this situation. I think it's great intentions. Who's going to pay for it? I think that's a better debate to have, not this debate because it's about race and it's offensive. I think that is just being intellectually lazy and dishonest. And no wonder Democrats continue to be out of touch, which brings me to overall the question of this video. What is your reaction to Elon Musk coming out and saying that he's got to focus more on Tesla? What's your reaction to the fact that Tesla sales have plummeted by 71%? And that's not because the company did something wrong. That's all due to politics. I really want to get your thoughts in the comment section below. Now, yesterday, there was a video that we dropped showing you how Democrats have been dealt a huge legal blow. This is in regards to a case where parents are requesting to opt their children out of woke ideology curriculums and books. If you missed out on that story and more from yesterday, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.